Great honor and deep sense of responsibility that I welcome you all to this important gathering organized by the Coalition of Academics for Katsina State Development. The formation and growth of this coalition would not have been possible without the vision and initiative of His Excellency, Malam Dikko-Jobe PhD, who during the 2023 gubernatorial campaign recognized the need to engage the academic community in shaping the future of Katsina State. He took the bold step and bring together like-minded scholars under a single platform, resulting in the establishment of Coalition of Academics for Katsina State Development. Through his encouragement and support, and under the coordination of our esteemed colleague, Lawal Zubairu, the coalition has grown into a credible professional body that has made significant contribution to governance and policy direction in the state. Members of these coalitions were drawn from 14 tertiary institutions across Katsina State, including federal, state, and private institutions. This rich diversity provides us with a wide range of expertise and perspectives, strengthening the quality of our contributions. From the onset, our focus was through a review of the development blueprint titled Building Your Future. Through in-depth discussions and community work, we contributed in shaping this document into an actionable guide for governance. The document addressing security, education, economics development, healthcare, agriculture, infrastructure, and participatory governance. Through this strategic initiative, the Dikko-Jobe administration aims to transform Katsina State into secure, prosperous, and inclusive society. In the case of Katsina State, we have seen how administration of Malam Dikko-Jobe, guided by the principle laid out in Building Your Future, has made substantial progress in key sectors such as security, education, healthcare, agriculture, among others. Planning has allowed the administration to align resources with priorities, to measure progress, and to adjust approaches where necessary. This structural approach to governance has enabled results that are not incidental, but deliberate. Let us all remember, when governance is built on planning, guided by data, and supported by knowledge, progress becomes inevitable. Thank you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless Katsina State and people of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
And currently serving as the Dean Faculty of Administration, ABU Zaria. With over 30 years of academic and research experience, Professor Issa has made a significant contribution to scholarship through numerous nationally and internationally published works. His research interests include social movement and transformation, ethnicity and ethnic conflict, youth studies, social change, development and underdevelopment, political Islam and militancy, countering violent extremism, and local governance. I think, having made synopsis from the profile of the learned guru, it is my honor at this point in time to invite the distinguished scholar to please come to the podium for the lecture presentation. I will appreciate Professor as he come on board for the lecture. Professor.
Your Excellency, sir, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, Dr. Dikko-Jobe, members of the Executive Council, the advisors to His Excellency the Governor of Katsina State, members of Algon, Chairman of Local Government. It might be very important. I'd like to extol the Coalition of Academics for Katsina State Development for deeming me fit to come and deliver this lecture and to provide insight. I have done this in Hassan Usman Katsina Polytechnic, the inaugural lecture, I delivered a paper on the icon, the general, and the prince of Katsina, the late General Hassan Usman Katsina of blessed memory. So it gives me great pleasure to be back to Katsina again to do what we are good at and what we know how to do best. It will suffice to note that also while I was traveling down to Katsina, I did not just read the submission of the coalition, and I did not read just the assessment. I stopped by at points to feel the pains in the classrooms and in clinics to be sure that they were not just mentioned on paper, that I'm tasting the paint and smelling the paint and seeing the projects on the wall. And so this is what we call evidence-based. So, sir, again, I came up with something unique, novel. Please, can you take the slide back to the beginning? I want His Excellency to see the beginning, first page, and to see what I'm bringing to bear, what I'm serving to the table. I'm coming with a different view, V2R, from vision to reality. And so we're looking at policy planning as a panacea for good governance. Governor Dikko-Jobe's 2-year transformative agenda and achievement in Katsina State from 2023 to 2025. So what we're seeing is a transformation, not just even a transition, a movement, a shift. If you like, a disruptive shift. Something that disrupts what exists before. You are not just transforming, you are reshaping, you are disrupting what exists. And that is why I tag mine from vision, from an idea to reality, V2R. And so that's the beginning of my slide, to show you that I contextualized the documents that were presented to me, and I did not just read the document, I went through my route to this place to fill the box. Next page, please. Now, Katsina State from before 2023 was an environment of insecurity, from banditry and rural insurgency to disrupted socio-economic life. It will suffice to inform His Excellency that in the whole world, as an academic, as a researcher, I was the first person to publish Boko Haram. And I presented a paper about Boko Haram in South Africa at the Institute of Security Studies, April 2009. And I was commissioned to replicate the same thing for LFIG, Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, in July at Addis Ababa, at the African Union, in 2009. And my publication, Excellency, sir, that when you had this vision, you brought about local indigenous technology, local academics who sat with you, developed a document, and gave you an idea, and this is what we are celebrating today. And that's the basis of my point, that in Nigeria, Nigerian elites don't listen to academics. They listen to foreigners. For the first time, that's why I said, your vision is disruptive, not just transformative. You are working with indigenous knowledge. Because when you come with World Bank, you come with DFID, IMF, they don't have local knowledge. But the academics on the ground are the ones who have local what? Knowledge. So success of any agenda, of any policy is contingent on local what? Knowledge. It gives good governance the basis to plan. And it gives you transparency, efficiency for results. And how do you come about that? Lack of planning leads to fragmented, short-term interventions, while effective planning provides vision, structure, coordination, and sustainability. And what I bring to the table today is the issue of sustainability. Everything I've read in the document and seen have achieved in the last 2 years the vision. Remember, I talked about vision at the beginning. And the vision has transposed and transmutated into reality. And you have structures on the ground, which I will refer to in the context of the discussion. And there's coordination. And what is hanging in the process and what needs to be rejigged is the issue of sustainability. And next, please. And that takes us to, why is this planning important? Why does it matter? Now, when you have governance through the prism
through the lens of planning. Why is it important? What does it matter? It moves beyond media hype. You know, if you go to the media, you see, we do content analysis in the media. And you see a lot of reports in the media. The governor did this. There are states you go, you read about a lot of projects in the media, but when you go on the ground, they are not there. So Governor Ratta's policy paradigm is that building your future. That's the acronym, that's the language, that's the mantra, building your future. Now, it came in a strategic policy document, which is comprehensive, and it's a blueprint which was introduced in 2023, developed with the input from 200 plus policy experts, and it is anchored on a framework. You know, in research, where there is a research and there's no theory, there's no research. And so the research is the lens, like the camera, through which you guide your project, you guide what you want to achieve. So what is building your future going to achieve? It is going to work on a framework of blocks. Building blocks for development, I call them. What are they? Budget, you learn, you organize, you involve the community, you evolve knowledge, and then you develop security. But where there are structures and organization, then they persevere and they stand the test of time. So why this study? Well, this paper is to assess Governor Ratta's achievement through a structured planning-based lens, and then showcase how strategic planning catalyzed measurable governance outcomes, and then offer lessons for subnational governance reform in Nigeria, and then contribute to scholarship on development, leadership, and state building. Quickly, please. Then, what's my theoretical framework? Like I said, anything we do in the academics, there must be a theory for it. Now, what is strategic planning? It's a deliberate, long-term policy process which align, again, vision comes in here, which align vision with what? Action. And from action, you get what? Reality. And then establishes priorities, allocates resources from the blocks, budget, and then tracks performance. Now, in governance, it transforms leadership's intent into measurable change, and then foundation for anticipatory and systemic public management. So we need to understand also what is governance and good governance. Governance is how power is exercised and decisions are made. Good governance marked by transparency, accountability, inclusiveness, and then rule of law. Then build institutions and foster citizens' trust, enables development outcomes to be citizens-focused and efficient. That's why I coined mine, and I added to the coinage and the acronym, we are moving Katsina State from vision to what? Reality. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the core development themes and the strategic pillars of building your future policy? We have public sector reform, the Katsina State BPA, Bureau for Public Reform. Then you have the KSAPG, you have the APAG, then you have education and skills, universal access for education, and then digital learning, and then technical and vocational education training. Then you have healthcare transformation, which provides rural access. And Your Excellency, I saw those rural hospitals around the 300 and 65 wards. I saw along my route coming here, I stopped to be sure that they were not just on paper, they were real. In a political economy marked by fragmentation and uncertainty, planning remains the most reliable compass for a purposeful leadership, institutional resilience, and sustainable development. Your Excellency, sir, talking about sustainability. Sustainability of planning cycle is very important. So for this document, the BYF, which is guided by blocks, we should start thinking at the early stage, how do we make this document sustainable? This question has not been generated and has not been asked sufficiently. How do we make this document sustainable? How do we make what we have built on the ground sustainable? And I propose these 200 plus experts to form clusters of key mandates, the sectors, to regularly monitor, assess, review, and advise government by engaging the civil service, to regularly review processes, monitoring, evaluation, and learning reports, and by annual meeting of consolidation, reviews, realignment, and validation, and make recommendations to government for reform and review. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Excellency.
So on this note, join me to invite our associate, Professor Dikko-Jobe. He is the discussant to this paper, and I hope probably will be as brief as possible, looking at other items of the agenda and still waiting to be exhausted.
So this paper is categorized into subsections, beginning from the introduction. From the introduction, he treats the geographical outlay of Katsina as a historic area in the Sahel region. He mentions the contemporary developmental challenges that bedevil Katsina State, especially on the eve of the election of Governor Umaru Rada as the governor of Katsina State. He briefly talked about the governor's readiness to confront these multiple challenges through marrying theory and practice of development planning, which manifested in his establishment of committees of experts on different areas that gave birth to his strategic document known as Building Your Future, which is implemented around strategic areas of budget, laws, organizations, community, knowledge, and security, which is briefly termed as blocks. The paper provides conceptual definitions such as what it means by strategic planning, public policy implementation, as well as 6 critical dimensions of planning model for every governance throughout the world. He went further to provide an overview of building the document of Building Your Future as a strategic policy. It is origin and mission strategy, which he provided in the paper that it came about before the inauguration of Malam Umaru Rada in May 2023. This document, according to him, is a byproduct of a brainwork of about 200 subject experts on different areas, largely from coalition of Katsina State Academy.
This time around, the presentations from various committees, I'm directed to draw the attention of the presenters that they should make their presentation within the span of 5 minutes. Initially, the time allotted was 10 minutes, but I think we have a lot of committees present.
The governor established a committee headed by Professor Siddiq. We met severally, we brainstormed, we came up with a number of recommendations, and we gave the government. For the purposes of information and for the avoidance of doubt, many issues to do with security cannot be discussed so openly. Moreover, we are online, we are live. But despite that, I must say that regarding the insecurity in Katsina State, even though we are not where we want to be, we can all confirm that we are not where we were. In other words, we have made progress steadily, slowly but surely. Your Excellency, you made a promise to make sure that the people and their property become secure, and every discerning individual in Katsina State will affirm, will confirm, will believe, knows that a lot has been done in the area of fighting insecurity. The fact that you have issues, you have cases here and there, does not mean that there is no improvement in the security performance. Rather, you can say that things are being done to make sure that people are secure. Mr. Chairman, again, we should know in the fight against security, the bad guy needs to get it once right, just once. But the government has to get it right all the time. You have to cover your ground nearly all the time, and it's not possible. Despite that, I must say that it's promise made, promise kept. How? In summary, I want to give, without giving details, certain things that were recommended to the government, certain things that were ambitioned by the governor himself and his team. They came together to produce what we have today. Before the coming of the government, 26 local governments were under siege. But that's not the case now. We are all aware of the frontline states and frontline local governments where banditry was intensive. But that has been alleviated. Again, there are many local governments that were close to the frontline local governments. They were very vulnerable. It has been eased, but not without problems. Again, prior to the coming of the government, there was discordance regarding the security agencies in the state. Now, there is cooperation, collaboration, and coordination among them, which makes it easy for them to utilize their resources and to deliver. Again, there is a surveillance center in the state. We don't need to know the location, but there is a surveillance center where many parts of the states can be monitored and action taken. We are all aware that many vigilante groups have been formed in our communities and they are performing. Then there are many community-driven efforts. In these communities, they have been given arms approved by the government, and they are taking up the challenge of protecting their communities before the arrival of security agencies. Again, if we could remember, there was this Northwest Peace and Security Summit. Many of us participated. We came up with many ideas, and we came to the conclusion that within the Northwest, no state alone can function and fight insecurity without the collaboration and cooperation of all the states. The
Executive Governor of Katsina State, other members of the High Table, it's a great opportunity for me to represent the health sector on the review of Katsina State Health Sector Blueprint. Next slide, please. Your Excellency, sir, you may wish to recall that we were in your conference room to present on the reviewed blueprint strategies on health, and of which you are highly convinced and impressed, and as well, there and then, a 14-member committee was actually inaugurated by you, sir. That is to go back to the field and make an assessment to understand the status of health delivery system in Katsina State. That was what actually gave birth to this report. The reasons why I brought this is for us to appreciate the status at which His Excellency took over the health status of Katsina State. The report actually presents the finding of a need assessment of health sector, which include all the general hospitals in Katsina State, specialist hospital, specialty hospitals, primary healthcare centers, and as well, health tertiary institutions. Next slide, please. So all those hospitals were actually covered, with the exception of few hospitals that were actually situated in security compromised areas. Next slide, please. So the areas where we dwell were human resource for health in the 3 specialist hospitals in Katsina State. By seeing this red, was actually portraying the status at which His Excellency took over health sector in Katsina State across these areas, meaning that the status of availability of human resources was just 40%. Next, please. Next, please. And then human resource for 4 pilot hospitals: General Hospital Katsina, Daura, Dusama, Malamfashi, Funtua, were actually 26%, and 74% was actually nothing in there. Yes, please. And as well, sir, the 7 other general hospitals then, the status was actually alarming. And I could remember by the time we came to this stage, initially there wasn't an approval for media to come in. I could vividly clear and recall that His Excellency gave the mandate to all media members to come into the conference hall for them to assess the reality. That was just availability of 16% in the 7 general hospitals. Then as well, the training institutions. Okay, you can go to the next stage, please. Yeah. This is human resource for health availability in primary healthcare centers in Katsina State. That was somewhere in June 2023. We can go through the various cadre that we have in our primary healthcare centers in Katsina State, where we have more than 2,000 facilities. Medical officer, 19%, CHO, 25%, nurses and midwives, 20%, CHIU, 38%. I think the highest was EHO, environmental health officers, where they carry 50%, and of which, sincerely speaking, they are not supposed to be even in the primary healthcare centers. They're supposed to be in the public arena where they can provide the services needed from them. Please, we can go. And we are going to justify it in the next slide. Then, Ermolu and the others fully revitalized 1 per local government. So 26 out of 34 local governments that are going to benefit from these revitalizations are also 100% completed in 2 years. Next, please. Then, in addition, upgrade and renovation of other PHCs, where we have 361 wards. And part of the recommendation given during the review was to have a well-equipped, standardized primary healthcare center for each and every local government. And virtually, when we move to the next stage, you will make judgment yourself, because it's about 70% completion currently. Next, please. You can see, clearly defined. If you really want to see, you can see it. And you can go and visit the areas and see clearly. So that's why I don't want to talk much, but just to give you the image. If you want to see, you can follow and we have our what? We have our sealed copies. If you want to see, then we will give you a guide. You can go to the next, please, doctor. This is another one. Next, doctor. This is another one. Next, doctor. Then, Kachma. In the last 3 years, I made a presentation with Vision FM. There is no single country that provides free care services. But what? Social services. One of that social services is having what? Is having an initiative like this, a kind of contributory scheme. With that contributory scheme, we can clearly see that expansion of healthcare coverage is actually very much demonstrating a remarkable kind of growth and commitment toward universal healthcare coverage. And by enrolling thousands of residents, including civil servants, vulnerable populations, and informal sector workers, ensuring an equitable access to healthcare services across the state, obviously is helping matters. And is vivid and clear, because each and every civil servant in Katsina State is captured under this scheme. Now this year, they have captured 8,000 plus retirees to get a free medical care throughout their lifetime. Special health care programs for retirees. That's what I'm talking about. Initially, retirees were afraid because I was discussing with the executive officer. He was saying that very few were going to register for these services. It was later discovered that they were afraid to be deducted from their pension. Then it was clearly explained to them that they will continue to enjoy these services free of charge throughout their lifetime.
His Excellency, sir, permit me to recognize the existing protocol by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu to all the members of this high gathering. I'm here, my name is Engineer Kabiru El Hussein Ruma, Jakada Ruma, presenting on behalf of IGR Committee. And like I said, the chairman of the committee is Professor Sani Mashi. And a little background of the committee is the fact that about 21 members of the committee participated in making this presentation. What I wanted to say that will summarize or that will capture the essence of all my presentation is that I'm happy to announce to the members of this gathering that history is repeating itself in Katsina State, the home of hospitality, courtesy of the IGR drives of His Excellency Malam Duko Umar Radda. Some of us may wish to remember that once upon a time in 1973, Yakub Gowon once upon a time said, the problem of Nigeria then is not money, but how to generate the money. But the problem now is not how to spend the money, but rather how to generate the money. But courtesy of the initiative of His Excellency, as can be seen in these figures, all these figures are captured, are published by His Excellency himself in the www.katsinastategovernment.org. You can see that the comparison, as can be seen, is from 22 to 2025. In 2022, Katsina State government budget about 308 billion. 13 billion was generated. The budget was 13.9 billion IGR, but only 8.2 was raised. Then we have a gap of about 4.9 with a performance of 62.5% low compared to what is budgeted and the actual budget. For year 2023, 300 billion, 33 was the budgeted IGR, 19.7 raised, 13.6 billion, 59.6, high performance compared to the budgeted amount. As of 2024, 526.5 billion was budgeted, 4.2 billion was the IGR budgeted, already 32.3 billion was raised, 11.9 was actually the deficit, representing IGR performance of 73.2% high. For year 2025, it can be seen 68.2% was actually budgeted for this year. As at the time I'm talking, His Excellency, sir, is yet to publish for the first and the second quarter. We are already in the second quarter for fiscal year 2025. That's why, next slide. And the performance review is from the perspective of Katsina State government. While this is another external appreciation of the IGR drive of Katsina State from Budgit, which is the most important private institution in Nigeria in terms of fiscal performance. You can see in year 2022, Katsina State government was ranked 17th in terms of IGR generation in Nigeria, which means that for the year 2022, the then governor was able to raise about 2,447 per each citizen of Katsina State. His Excellency in year 2023, Katsina State was ranked 30th from 17th in 2021. While in 2024, Katsina State government was ranked 31st from 30th in 2022, which means that His Excellency have generated for each indigene of Katsina State about 2,157. Can we appreciate His Excellency? Next slide. These are the further areas. In the previous slides, we are able to highlight what we as a committee recommended to His Excellency, and we equally also highlighted what His Excellency was able to achieve. Vis-a-vis the performance, these are the other areas expected for IGR improvement in Katsina State. Voluntary tax compliance, rule value for money governance, as I'm coming to Kaduna State from Kaduna this evening, when I see the flyover at Lambarimi, I was highly impressed. And in my mind, I said, this is the value for money we are talking about. As a taxpayer, when you see things by yourself like this, you'll be impressed, you'll be encouraged to be.
Permit me to stand before all duly observed protocols. I stand here on behalf of the Traditional Institutions Reform Committee, which I chaired since when it was inaugurated, immediately after the executive governor has won his election. We work with the other members of the committee, which were about 24 members. Many of them, I've seen them here present. After our committee, we come up with various recommendations, which we presented before His Excellency. And Alhamdulillah, today, I'm very proud of that achievement that His Excellency has achieved within the period of 2 years with regard to traditional institutions.
Alhamdulillah, I stand on the existing protocol, and I would like to start by congratulating His Excellency for what he is able to achieve within 2 years. Is a great thing, and I believe his ability to plan has done some wonders. And also I want to say that I used to liken him to one of my role models in the history, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, who was prudent and also a very serious leader. He told his son Al-Mahdi on his deathbed, he gave him advice that you should do your work yourself and also never allow your treasury to be empty. And I believe the governor has these two characteristics. One thing I could remember when we made presentation on the Religious Affairs Reform Committee was that we emphasized on the issue of Hizbah, and when we emphasized on that issue, at the conclusion of the presentation, His Excellency also emphasized on it. And he even promised that within 100 days in office, Hizbah board was going to be established. Though it wasn't established after 100 days, but it was established later, and I think it was one of the fastest things to have been done by any government. What are my slides? Okay. And the Hizbah board has done a lot of things. The activities fight against morality, contribution in security and safety of communities, intervention in family social life, because that is very important to us as Muslims.
Follow the existing protocol. I'm here, my name is, as was introduced as Dr. Ibrahim Ghani from Isaketa, but currently with Kaseda, due to this SMU committee, as I can see, Alhamdulillah. SMU committee was formed by His Excellency in order to review the BYF document so that it can be implemented based on his own experience as the former leader or former DG of Smedan. So the committee recommended for the establishment of Kaduna State Enterprise Development Agency, Kaseda, and Alhamdulillah, His Excellency welcomed the idea and established Kaduna State Enterprise Development Agency, Kaseda, on 1st October 2023 and also appointed one of its members of this committee as the Director General of Kaseda Haja Aisha Amin. We serve together in this committee. So Kaseda, as an implementing agency of SME development in Katsina State, achieved a lot, and we are very proud of that. I'm here as a member of a coalition for academic development. But
one is to have the overall mark or score, just score the policy document review exam, and then give the final verdict. Your Excellency, we are part of this government, because ever since this, going by your recommendations that we should merge the associations that are coming to you into one mega association that today we are calling Coalition for Academics Staff of Katsina State for Katsina State Development. The first assignment you have given to us is, okay, fine, you are for Katsina State Development. We have already developed a policy document. Come and review it. Let your own development begin from here, which we are very much grateful, and we got engaged in reviewing this. Our members actually did a very good work by having a lot of recommendations that gives the state some directions that you have undertaken in order to achieve all these things. And then what followed it is a lot of appointments in your government that we feel known. We have never witnessed this. As far as academic staffs are concerned, we have never seen a government that include a lot of academic staffs in the administration, just like the way you did, Your Excellency, which we are very much grateful. And looking at, since we are part of the government, of course we are doing the governance while we are making a follow-up to various ministries, parastatals, and the agencies to ensure that what we have reviewed or what we have recommended, at least that there is some level of achievements in line with that recommendation, Your Excellency. And purposely, the reason for that is, please, if I can see the previous slide before this, please. All right, please, for us just to track the progress in implementing the recommendation outlined in the policy, identify the areas that needed improvement, just like they have shown, ensure transparency, promoting accountability, and informing the future policy decisions. And this will certainly bridge the gap between the government and the people. Next slide, please. So it is important for people to understand that this, our assessment, is actually based on the recommendations we have made to the policy document, and also our finding in line with the implementation by His Excellency, the Governor. Then this is what we have seen. Your Excellency, based on the final assessment of all that has been implemented in line with our review and recommendations that we have given, you can see the public sector reform being the first, up to 70% being achieved. We have the education, 80%, Your Excellency. We have given security, 74%, Your Excellency. SME that he has just finished presenting now, up to 74%. And we have, I think, religious also as well, 80%, Your Excellency. And I think the list are IGR, 70%, and traditional institute reform, which is also 70%. But all this are in line with the academic standard, are all A's.
Shaitan rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa sallim. I have to go through the protocol because I have nobody to ask so that I can stand on the existing protocol. Unless if I can permit myself to stand on the existing protocol. So I permitted myself to stand on the existing protocol. Thank you very much, the organizers of this lecture. And I must appreciate the guest speaker, the discussant, and the committee representatives who made some presentation here. Mine is to thank you for this very important work you have done for the people of Katsina State. And to take you back a little, as mentioned by the guest speaker, the history behind all these things was when I was contemplating in my mind to contest for governorship 2 years before the election, I think 2018, I began to think of what will I do if I become a governor. Within that, I came up with some of these ideas. When I came up with these ideas, I called a colleague of mine and dictated to him, and he put a policy document. I dictated to him and he put a policy document. When he put the policy document, I said, look, let's review it. Then I chose few of us, I think about 14 of us, and we traveled to Dubai and stayed for 14 days. And I presented my ideas. We put it to scrutiny. There were criticism. People were saying a lot of things on all of it. And at the end of it, we debated and came up with a document that we all believe is possible for us to implement. And when we came back, we started the electioneering campaign with the party black bearership. And when we got the nomination, we now felt that let's give it a wider perspective. So we put up about 200 knowledgeable people that we are proud of in this state to review what we have done. They criticize and make recommendations, and then they came up with a policy, and each of the committee made presentation, and there was criticism, observations, and what have you. At the end of it, all of us agreed that we should implement this strategic policy, and it was named Building Your Future. One thing that I have been nursing in my mind and what I had wanted to do in my life is to always try the impossibilities. When people always say that this thing is not possible, you can't do it, I believe it can be doable, and I can do it, and I can give it a try. So it is always good to test some challenges. First of all, when I wanted to do public administration reform, people were saying you can't do it. This is Katsina. There are a lot of interest. People will not allow it. They will sabotage it. They will not do that. I said I will do it, and we did it. In fact, and I want to break a jinx, because all the time you speak about politicians, they will tell you they are lies, they don't fulfill their promise, whatever they said is a lie, they are not going to do it, empty promises. I said my promises are not going to be empty, and I will deviate from that fact, and I will make sure that whatever I believe I will do, and I put it, and I promise people I will try to deliver it. In a process of delivering it, if I could not be able to achieve it because of some factors, I will come back and tell people that because of social reasons, we could not be able to achieve this and that. And to God be the glory, all what we have promised to deliver in Katsina State, if we have not completed it, we are almost at the verge of completing it. Leadership requires people that are trustworthy, people that care for others, people that speak the truth. I see no reason why we should be attributing some very negative characters or leaders. If you have made up your mind to be a leader, and if God in his infinite mercy made you one, you should try to do something that will give you moral authority to govern. You can be able to turn back and tell your followers to do this because they have never found you wanting in doing otherwise. Everybody who is ready to take up leadership must have moral authority. Failure to have moral authority, that was the reason that politicians were attacked with different names. We are not perfect. We have shortcomings as human beings. And when people give you mandate, they are free to say whatever they want to say. The only sin I may not tolerate is when you are attacking my character, or you are attacking me, or you are making some accusations which are not true. But if you are going to abuse me, abuse me. Even if you want me to come to your house so that you can abuse me, I can come, you abuse me, I go home and sleep. But that will not remove me as a governor. And that will not stop me from doing what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter. But I'm begging you, please keep tracking us. Keep criticizing us where we went wrong. And tell us where we are right so that we can have more courage to do more. I thank you very much for giving you this lead, because those above 60 are really showing in their, it's really showing on their faces. And I hope that all of us will be back to our homes safely. And we thank you very much. For those who travel far to Katsina, I wish you a safe journey back to your respective destinations. And lastly, we thank Almighty Allah for sparing our life in good health and see this day that marks 2 years in office at the helm of affairs of this state. For those who have been supporting us, the State Assembly, the State Executive Council, head of various departments and agencies, permanent secretaries, who have really transformed to reducing some of the processes. And I must say that I appreciate the level of compliance of the permanent secretaries in our policy direction. And that, I believe, is because of the adoption of the merit-based competency test for permanent secretaries. And I have said it many times, all the permanent secretaries should raise their head high that they got this position on merit, not because somebody has lobbied for them. And what I had wanted to achieve is covered that some people have done that. We cancel it and then redo it again. Members of State Assembly are sitting here. I didn't give one of them one single slot. I told them anybody that came from Sapana is a citizen of Sapana and should be proud is a member of your constituent. So why should you worry that you must bring somebody? The same thing with all employment. Even the health sector, those we employ, we advertise. And people who are competent, in fact, even some appointment in the state government that required my single appointment for me to do it, I decided to advertise in the newspaper so that we can get the best of the best. Why? Because we need to inject competency into the government. Despite the political challenges, yes, we'll give politics some percentage and also merit some percentage so that we can have the combination of politics and merit in the appointment. And then with that, we can be able to have a hybrid governance system in the state.